Hey everybody, what's going on? Brother John here, and welcome to another edition of God Talk. Hope everybody's doing well. Tonight's subject, we're gonna do it on, it's called For the Sake of Tradition, and just gonna share a couple of personal situations that happened that led me to think about doing this topic. Um, First, it was on Facebook. Old friend of mine. I'll tell you right up front. She was an old girlfriend. We keep in touch. We just recently kept touch Facebook, and she's married. She has kids. She lives down in Florida now, and so now her kids, her son was coming to the age of getting bar mitzvah. So now I know that she's Jewish, and I know she's not a practicing Jew, and so I guess I don't even remember the comment I make. I wish I could dig it up. It was months ago. So to give you some context, but I guess I kind of challenged her. I wasn't mean about it. We were like old friends and stuff. But I was kind of questioning why she's having a son bar mitzvah. They don't go to temple. They don't practice or anything like that. And I'll tell you, she got a little snippy because I was kind of, questioning her, motives and everything. And she was like, she was like, I'm God. I'll make my decisions, and I'll live the way I want to live. That's okay, all good, fine. But I did feel like I struck a chord. I don't know. I was just questioning her. What I felt was more of just a tradition, something that she was just doing to appease the family, or just to, yeah, be socially accepted, maybe. I don't know. But the whole any meaning behind the bar mitzvah was just it didn't seem like it really meant anything to her. Just go through the motions. Then I had another incident just recently. My good friend had a baby just a couple months ago, and I know him from we both went to Catholic school, so we know each other for many years. Very good friends. Um, and So, but he's not a practicing Catholic. Um, hasn't gone to church in God knows how many in ages, probably for the last, maybe it was a wedding or a funeral. And so he's telling me, they had to go to a meeting because they were having the baby christened. And so it's like, really, why? Oh, we're just doing it, John. He's like, don't start, because he knows how I like to get into these discussions. And he's like, we bought the dress, we got the jewelry, we're doing it. I said, okay. I, I, so I kind of jokingly said, I said, are you having the baby baptized because you're afraid it's going to go to hell? I mean, because this is kind of, I get how the Catholic Church kind of believes that this baby should be baptized to be saved, I guess. And he just didn't really want to get into it. So I found those two instances where when you're challenging certain traditions, um, people, you kind of upset the apple cart there. Um, and I do realize that some traditions are good and some are bad, and I guess I wanted to discuss that a little bit. What do you feel? Uh, you know, what traditions do you feel we should get rid of, or any traditions are good? Do you practice any traditions? So I wanted to, open the discussion to that. And just before I open it up to, we have Carlton here, we have Prescott right now, and Ruben just showed up. You didn't receive an invite, Ruben. Oh man, I'm sending him out. You know what? I don't know. Should have got one. I sent the personal invite. Sorry, but anyway, let me just define tradition is an inherited, established, or customary pattern of thought, action, or behavior as a religious practice or a social custom, and we could discuss some of those too, B, a belief, a story, or a body of beliefs or stories relating to the past that are commonly accepted as historical, though not verifiable. The handing down of information, beliefs, and customs by word of mouth or by example from one generation to another without written instruction. Um, Traditions can be a pattern of thought, an action, or behavior, and even a belief or a teaching that is not even written down. So, with that and what I was sharing, anyone
Oh
care
yeah,
to
sure.
your
Yeah,
thoughts?
and
Go
out of fear for dead air, let me go first. Um, I can tell you with two sons and one daughter. For my two sons, I thought that the father of the bride paying for the wedding is an excellent tradition. I wasn't so fond of it when it was my daughter's turn.
ahead.
Um, so there's a tradition. I have no idea how that tradition got started, nor if or what it signifies, nor does it have any meaning to me whatsoever. And yet everybody sort of expects that everybody else is going to follow it, maybe just because we've decided it's as good as any method of kind of whose turn is it next. It's kind of like flipping a coin. I don't know. I
Hmm.
think it should be the in-laws with the most money that pay, personally, but.
Okay. I think that trend is kind of changing with the economics. What do you, I don't know. Um,
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember, when my daughter wanted to get married, I was like, yeah, can we have it in the basement? I was happy. I was cool with that. I could break out some plastic water glasses and we're good to go.
hmm.
But that wasn't her idea at all. Um,
Doesn't that tradition kind of uh, harken back to the whole dowry?
I
Yeah,
suspect.
yeah, I was kind of thinking that too.
Yeah, I was playing a little dumb there, but yeah, I mean, I suspect that's where it does go back to. But it seems to be one that, for the most part, at least in this country, in Western civilization, seems to be one we follow pretty blindly. Nobody really thinks about it too much.
What
Um,
even the very tradition of marriage? Can we,
well, yeah. I mean, there's so many traditions. I mean, right? Just standing up at a table. When a lady stands up, or opening a door for a woman, or all the gender-based traditions. That we have. Um,
Speaking of marriage, I heard, like the tradition when you get engaged, you buy the woman an engagement ring, usually a diamond ring, right? And I mean, sometimes they'll go to so much where they'll set a kind of a standard as how much this engagement ring should cost. Like a month's salary or something like that, a couple of months. I forgot what formula they're using, but this is a tradition I've recently found out was created by none other than De Beers.
well, there's a shocker, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, speaking of weddings, right? Well, the tradition of giving something new, something borrowed, something blue. I mean, I don't even know. I don't have no clue where that goes back to.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, a lot of wedding traditions.
Now, Carl, do you practice any traditions? Okay, it's well, I could touch upon say any traditions that would contradict, say, your own belief that it doesn't have to be you personally, but like I was sharing earlier, sometimes we practice traditions just out of either they're just habit or to be
Well,
socially
I don't
socially
know if it.
accepted,
I don't know if. Yeah, I don't know if you'd call it a tradition as much as maybe just silly superstitions like knocking on wood, um, or kind of not talking about the outcome of an event before it actually happens, or Um, yeah, I don't do the salt over my shoulder thing or anything like that, but I know a lot of people do. I mean, I do a lot of those, but they don't mean anything. They're just, I mean, I guess maybe for me those they're not traditions so much as just, I guess, habit. I don't really think about them one way or the other. I don't think.
I consider those more superstition.
Okay, like the not walking under a ladder, black cats in your path, blah blah blah. Um, trying to think if I have any tradition really things.
How about Christmas? Do you celebrate Christmas?
Yeah,
Okay. So why? Why would you celebrate Christmas?
because it's fun. It's. I mean, to be honest, even when I was a Christian, I'm sorry, Christmas was just about is about getting presents. Okay, I'm gonna be selfish here, right? It was about what was under the tree for me. And then it kind of, um, for the few years when I was an adult and didn't have children, it kind of lost a lot of its meaning, most of it. I mean, it was fun to go out and shop and crap like that, but then, when I had kids, then it was about them getting presents. Um, but it was never really any kind of a religious holiday for me.
Now, would you say you get as many gifts now as you did when you were, say, religious?
Well, I get more now because back then I was dependent on other people buying them for me. Now I buy them for myself. And I have more money now than I had then, so I get significantly more gifts. Actually, it's not until I hit 60 that I actually started getting Valentine's Day cards and chocolates in the mail because I send them to myself. Um,
And the great thing is, you always get what you want.
yes, yes, it is. It is amazing. No more knitted socks, no more ugly ties. I get cool stuff.
But seriously, about as far as you're giving to others.
I don't do it at Christmas time. This is, I mean, for me, Christmas is and should be about kids. Adults shouldn't feel obligated to give other adults presents. Oh my God, get over it. It should be about buying kids presents and just making kids happy and giving them surprises. Um, I,
But
you know,
even then, why should it be that way?
okay, all right, fine. Why should it be that way?
I'm gonna
Good
press it.
point, John.
What's that? I'm sorry,
Good,
Prescott?
good point, John.
I think I think you know what? Because if it's about adults, I think adults are far more insecure than children are, right? Children are naive. They're just happy. They just like a present. They don't care what it comes from. They don't know if you don't give them a present. They don't care. They don't hold a grudge. They don't care what the present costs. They just want a gift. Adults, it becomes much more ugly and complicated. Who didn't give me one? Who gave me something that they know I wouldn't like? Who didn't spend as much money as the other guy that gave? It becomes this sort of sick, twisted, I don't know, game. That's for me anyway. Yeah, I mean, adults. Really, I don't see a point. Why do I have to give, Brother John? Why do I have to give you a gift at Christmas? I think for adults. I mean, and for me, I'll help somebody and give them a gift. Um, and I'm not sure that that should be the same thing now that I said it. But I'll help somebody if they need it. I don't care what the date is. Um, but I don't feel obligated to help somebody just because it's Christmas.
Now, how about like family gatherings? Because I've been in that situation, and
Hmm.
I mean, I've really taken myself out of the Christmas equation. Because I just see the whole commercialism of it, the whole pressure, like you're saying. I feel like you're obligated to get a gift, and then you want to make sure you give a nice gift to somebody. You want to make it be
Yeah,
hopefully
see,
as nice as they give it to you, or
that's
even
why I don't do it
nicer.
right.
You know what I'm
It's
saying?
not. There's no fun. There's no fun there. It's nothing
Yeah, I
but
hear you.
stress. It's
I hear
stressful.
you.
I mean, I give my wife and we give each other a Christmas card. That's it. But
Yeah,
all year long, if I see something that I think she wants or will make her happy, I buy her the gift. I don't wait for a freaking holiday to do it.
yeah.
Christmas is just we put up a tree, we love the lights, you know. Um, it's like Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving we make all the traditional. There you go. Thanksgiving dinner tradition. All the making
Exactly.
those. I always have a pumpkin pie. I always have a turkey. I always have chestnut stuffing because my grandmother made it. There's a lot of traditions, but I just do them because I don't know. I think there's a connection to the past that's comforting.
I am liking Thanksgiving. I'm more appreciative of Thanksgiving over the past number of years than even Christmas. I mean, I like the idea of, you get together with family, which doesn't really happen all too much on my end, but it is a time, we try to make a tradition like on Thanksgiving where we go around the table and just, say something you're thankful for. thank you're appreciative for. And I think it's a nice tradition. And
Yeah.
yeah, that point, yeah, I agree. Some traditions are good.
I think, you remember the Seinfeld episode with Festivus?
Oh yes.
Okay, Festivus for the rest of us. Um, but I think he makes a point there, and I think that traditions. Matter of fact, it was only maybe a month or two ago. We rewatched Yentl. No, not Yentl. Fiddler on the Roof. Tradition, right? I think I think traditions are good in the sense that they connect generations. They I think they do provide sort of a I don't know if comfort's the right word, but a core, a center to come back to, right? So kind of like you can count on traditions; they don't change. That's what makes them good, is that they don't change. So when the rest of the world falls apart and it becomes frazzled and chaotic, you can always rely on the fact that there's going to be this thread of traditions, that you have or your family has, or wherever they come from. So I think that makes traditions good. I think they give us something stable to kind of latch onto from time to time.
Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you. How's it going?
Going pretty good. Uh, the
You know
point.
what? You know what else it is, John, about tradition? I think too. Like,
Well,
one thing about that stability. I think when we're in, typically, I think when people are in unfamiliar situations, unfamiliar events, or when things are changing rapidly or even chaotic, it there's a certain stress level that's associated with that. You cannot really relax in an environment that you where you can't predict what's going to happen next. So you are always on your guard to some extent, or I don't want to say hyper aware, but you're sort of on your toes because you don't know what's going to happen next, right? Um, where and I think tradition gives us a place where we can truly relax because because it's traditional. We know exactly what's going to happen. There's no surprise. There's no worry. There's no having to think about what's next. There's no having to think about how to respond or what to do. It's sort of carved into this traditional set of actions, and I think that provides comfort as well.
I was reading a little blog and they were asking about, traditions good or bad. And one person was speaking to that point, and they felt that traditions got boring for them because it was like New Year's Eve. Every New Year's Eve, it's go to the family's house. You kind of expect the same old thing, and so for them, it was getting a little played out.
How
Uh,
old were they? Do you know?
I do not know. I do not know.
Because I find as I get older and older, traditions become more and more enjoyable. But when I was younger, I felt the same way. I was like, "Oh God, do we have to do this again?" But because there was no appreciation for that, I think maybe because we have a high capacity for stress, we don't even notice it. But when we get older, that I think that capacity wanes, and then we kind of long for this. Can I
Mhm.
please do something that I don't have to tax my brain on and freak out when I do it?
Mm. And like you're saying, like, okay, you're saying you have a greater appreciation for some traditions. You know,
Yeah.
on my end, like I was saying, sharing about Christmas, um I place a lot less importance on it. Even like my wife, she wants to get a Christmas tree every year, and and to me, I guess I'm getting so practical or just cheap in my old age. Because I mean, I go outside my house, I'm surrounded by trees. I actually well, we had one before Hurricane Irene came. We had a 30, like a 30, 40 foot pine tree in front of our house. This thing was like a giant Christmas tree if you wanted it to be. So to go out and buy a dead tree, bring it into the house, and then decorate it, it just now seems a little like. And who's the one who always winds up putting it up?
Yeah,
And then
who's gonna end up cleaning up and vacuuming the needles and
yes, it
see,
winds up being me.
I remember as a kid though. I remember as a kid, okay, and I remember my first wife as well. I grew up with a real Christmas tree in our house. Okay, every Christmas, and a fire in the fireplace. And
Hmm.
I remember as my dad got older, he wanted to change this, and he wanted to put up I remember the first year he brought home a fake tree. I was freaking devastated. This was not Christmas. I don't know what the hell this was. Um, I was shook up. I
Oh,
was,
tradition.
yes, it is. It's tradition. It doesn't. I don't care about the needles. They'll clean them up afterwards. But you have to have. I still argue about that with my wife now because but I'm winning most of the years now. And I'm like, no, it has to be a real treat. It has to. It doesn't. All the practical things don't matter. That's kind of I think a cool thing about tradition, right? Is that all the practical arguments don't carry any weight when we're talking about a tradition. It can shed needles. It can be a fire hazard. It can poke you in the eye. I don't really care about any of that. I want my damn treat, and I want a fire. I don't care that it's 95 degrees outside. And don't make it a gas fire. Put a freaking log in that fireplace, and get some paper and make a fire.
So
I
do
don't.
you to this day you get a real Christmas tree?
Yes, even
Okay.
if it is a tiny one, I don't care. But it has. I want to smell. I want to smell I want to smell the evergreen. I want to smell. I want to take some needles off and throw it into the fireplace and hear the popping. Yeah, for me, I roast chestnuts on an open fire. I really do, just like the song, right? I love chestnuts and eating them after they're in the fire. Yeah, that's just a tradition for me. Um,
Oh, you pagan atheist.
yeah, and that's the
I
funny. Go ahead, sorry, Pastor.
I had no idea you were such a fundamentalist about traditions.
Really? And yes, I'm the same person that'll go to Dragon Con and can't wait to get to the room party where everybody's drunk and some girl is tied up in handcuffs and being whipped by some guy in leather. And that's a tradition too. Um, I think it's just I'm a weird. I am very kind of.
Was anybody dressed as Santa at Dragon Con?
Yes, there were two or three. One normal Santa and two sort of evil Santas.
Evil Santa. Prescott, want to add anything about traditions? And do you any traditions that you partake in?
Uh, not anymore. Not for I don't know, probably 15 years,
Mhm.
and it wasn't a problem. This was associated with my leaving Christianity,
Hmm.
um, and of course my family are all Christians, so of course they were still doing many of the normal traditions, Easter, Christmas, and stuff like that. So I just stopped coming to the family get-togethers because they were usually, um, you know, had a lot had a lot to do with their faith, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a distraction to that, and I didn't want to be distracted by that. So I just simply bowed out of those things. But when Mom was getting worse with her Alzheimer's, at one point she asked me, and I don't even know that she really understood what she was asking me because it was far enough along in the disease
Yeah.
that she asked me to be here for Christmas, and so naturally I complied, and so I did until she passed. So
Hmm. That was nice.
yeah.
I
I
remember.
do. Prescott, you're welcome to come to our house for Christmas anytime you like, buddy. Um, we'd love to have a guest,
Uh, Thank you, but
and we
you'll
won't
have
we won't ask you to say grace or anything like that.
you'll have a real Christmas tree there, won't you?
We will,
Yeah.
but it's just a Christmas. It's just a tree. But
Christmas,
it is.
Christmas with Carlton with a K.
God, it is funny because even when I was an atheist, or in my early atheist years, right? Most of
Hold
my
on, what did you just say?
When I was an atheist early in my atheist years,
Okay.
I was trying to. Yeah, I know I said it kind of bizarrely there. I kind of just. I didn't mean it in the past tense. I knew that was going to get. Yeah. But when I when I would go to like family gatherings, like I said, like Thanksgivings, or I'd go to a friend's house for Thanksgiving, and they absolutely knew I was an atheist. Why, pardon the French, in God's name, did they ask me to say grace? I'm like, really? There's a whole table full of people, and they look at me. Carlton, would you like to say grace? No. I'm like, no. But I would appreciate it if you guys would say grace and close your eyes so I can get at the mashed potatoes first. I'm just like, why did you ask the atheist to say grace? I never understood that.
Maybe they felt like you'll have some kind of
I guess. Maybe if I said grace, I would all of a sudden, come back, to God or something. No, I'll be happy to thank the cook, but outside of that, no, yeah, I like traditions. When I was a kid, my grandmother, every summer, my dad would take myself and my sister to the beach, and we had a trailer, those big 35-foot silver, trailer things, but we'd be down the beach from when school got out that same weekend until back in my day till school came back in session, which was usually a week after Labor Day weekend. So we'd come back usually Labor Day weekend or the week after. We spent all summer at the beach, and my grandmother would be there watching us. My parents both worked. They'd come on weekends, occasionally and visit, spend the weekend. But for me, that was a tradition. I did that up until I was about 16 years old, from the time I was 2. And I remember when my dad finally sold the trailer, he went around the park where we used to go. He went to the same place every year, the same street in the park every year. He went and put up signs on some of the bulletin boards, trailer for sale. And of course, I went around behind him on my bicycle, taking him down. Because I did not want to have him sell that trailer. But I like traditions. I really do.
Kevin, any traditions that you care to share, or any opinions on the matter?
Yeah, sure. Well, as far as like just regular social traditions, I mean, I have a good-sized family, and my dad remarried, when I was in high school after my mother passed, so I kind of have a whole other half of my family, and since then, yeah, and it's a lot of girls, so makes holidays kind of interesting, but yeah, so I mean, I attend those. I attend like Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, a lot of the kind of standard, American or Christian American type holidays. And for me, it's more of a traditional aspect of, it's an opportunity to interact with other members of my family and their friends and all that kind of stuff. So in that sense, there is a tradition to that. But I also have my close friends that live in my hometown, and a lot of times, even on the same days, if I'm able to, I go down to their houses and meet up with them and their friends and their family. So there's definitely, at least on a very basic level, a tradition of visiting friends and families during certain holidays. As far as personal traditions, that's just more private stuff that usually kind of goes in with my spirituality. So it's not really all that interesting.
Okay.
Hey, John, I can share one bad tradition.
Okay.
This was my cousins had this bad tradition. They had this tradition. Excuse me, when I was growing up as a kid, they, as a family, would open up their Christmas gifts at midnight, Christmas Eve, or Christmas morning, however you want to word that, but at midnight,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
This,
we did
this
that.
is this was I rebel. I said this is an absurd tradition. No, it's supposed to be Christmas morning. I'm sorry. That's the tradition. That's what you got to do. Stop freaking changing the tradition. Yeah, that used to always upset me whenever I would go over to their house around Christmas time. We'd go over for Christmas Eve dinner, and they'd open up around midnight. I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, Carl, open the presents. I'm like, no, no. I'm like, no, I'm not opening them up till tomorrow morning. Oh, go ahead, open them up. We're all here. No, Santa hasn't come. There've been no milk and cookies put down. There's no one's going to open any gifts here. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, that was always a weird thing. But that was their tradition. They did it that way every year, and of course their excuse was, the parents would said, well, this is good because we're all awake, we're all here, we can open the presents now, and then tomorrow morning we can sleep in while you kids get up and just play with your gifts, and we
Mhm.
don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the a.m. or whenever you wake up to go open your gifts. I always thought that was part of the tradition, was me getting up at 4:30 in the morning and waking my parents up and dragging them out of bed so they could watch me open up the presents that they obviously knew were under the tree because they put them there. Um, and then act surprised, like they didn't know where they came from. That was part of it.
Right.
Uh, you're making me nostalgic, John. I'm going to cry pretty soon.
Uh,
I'll start tearing up here.
well, and that's his tradition's good. Yeah, again, it makes it gives an excuse for the family to get together. I think maybe if we didn't have some of these traditions, especially if you don't talk with your family much, or maybe you're at a distance from one another, it gives that excuse to get together and just celebrate, being together and stuff. So it's a good thing. I can see that. Cerberus, how you doing, man?
Oh, not too bad.
Cool. As you can see, we're talking about traditions, whether good or bad. Some of the traditions maybe you partake in or stop partaking in over the years. Any thoughts?
Not really, other than traditions are very good. It's sort of what keeps the family together. If you don't have a tradition, your family just kind of wanders apart.
See, I agree with that. There you go, sir. Hey, I went to a Seder dinner a couple years ago just to go to one. I thought I would try and start a new tradition. It didn't work out quite as well as I thought, but it was still fun.
The church I used to go to, it was a charismatic Pentecostal, but they used to do like Passover, but with the messianic twist, and so I attended one of those for the first time, and I found it very interesting, it was cool to be part of,
Well, John, you said you were Catholic. I mean, isn't midnight mass on sort of Christmas Eve mass? Isn't that a big thing normally?
Yeah, that was a big thing. Yeah,
Do you still go?
I don't know. I haven't been in, I think so. I don't know. I really don't
No, I
know.
mean, do you still go?
No, I'm not Catholic.
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't go just for the tradition of going?
No, because I really traditionally didn't go to midnight mass.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Oh, I traditionally went to church every Sunday. Also, should I still do
It's up
that?
to you. It might. I don't know. That's, just asking here. I'm just asking. I
Okay.
think everybody on your family there's a little touchy, aren't they, there, John? I'm just
Uh,
asking.
Yeah, actually, I was just telling Prescott earlier. My wife, today's Sunday. My wife is trying to get me to go to church today. She's like, "Come to church today. I think it'd be good." Like, no, thank you. Because I know what to expect.
Well, see, that's one of the things that, like, growing up Lutheran, right? We didn't have a lot of traditions. I mean, not to the extent that Catholicism or Judaism has traditions, right? I mean, Lutherans, you just you go on Sunday morning. When you're growing up, you take catechism classes, you get your confirmation. I spent a year or so as an altar boy. But that's everybody kind of goes through that. Um, but they don't really have any good, meaty, hefty, traditions. Like my wife is Catholic, right? Because she's raised in South America. Everybody's Catholic. It's I think they stamp it on your passport. Colombia Catholic. They got two stamps there. But so she has some saint traditions, that she still follows. There's certain holidays, where you'll kind of catch her, saying whatever the rosary prayer things are. I wasn't raised Catholic, so I don't know. Um, but and some of hers are probably a little different because she's from South America. Yeah, but she has a lot of those. But those are cool. That's in church.
She's,
That's one of the things I missed. There weren't very many traditions.
your wife is a practicing Catholic then?
Well, she's not practicing really. She'll tell you she hasn't been to church in God knows how many years. But her faith is important to her,
Who
so
knows? Who
she has
knows?
things that she still does personally. Yes.
Wait, who knows? Who
Yeah,
knows?
God only knows. I know. It's an expression. It's a tradition. Okay, it's a tradition. It's a tradition. Yeah.
Does she go to like Easter Mass or
Nope.
Christmas?
Nope. Nothing.
Okay.
No.
All right.
But that said, when I went to visit her, right, and we were like touring around some different cities, we went into some old cathedrals. Now she still does, do the little genuflect, the little, cross yourself thing when she goes into the churches. So, that just obviously is just a tradition or a habit, because she doesn't practice it at all. She doesn't really go to mass. She doesn't, right? But that's part of what she grew up with. So it's just part of, what she does.
Sir, I just want to welcome Ryan and Brandon and Avram to the room.
Wow,
Welcome.
you're just dragging. You got all the good people coming in here this morning.
Welcome. I'm
Ryan,
sure
Reuven, Prescott,
for having me.
Path. Okay, Path. All right, call him Path. Good.
Path. Okay, Path, Kevin.
I wanted to ask Cerberus, are there any like because we know you're a Mason. Is there any Masonic traditions that care to share that you might enjoy?
I enjoy getting together and eating the ice cream after clubbing the guy over the head with a mallet.
Wow, that's okay. I'm coming to your meetings. That sounds like fun.
Well, have you ever heard the term you gave someone the third degree?
Yeah.
Yeah, that comes from us. That's our third degree.
Is that really?
Yeah.
It's a 33rd degree.
It's a confession.
It's a ritual that kind of it mimics a mugging almost.
Oh, wow. Well, I didn't know that. All right. You're a very educational hangouts here, John.
Yeah, that's interesting. But how did the giving someone I'm trying to still make the connection because usually when you're giving someone a 30 degree, you're kind of like interrogating them, Is that part of that ritual?
It's like a mafia interrogation.
The way the story goes, everyone plays a character from a different story. It's all about a story, but I don't want to go into too much detail. Someone is trying to keep the secrets of the Masonic secrets, and two other people are basically accosting them, interrogating them, and they end up killing them in the very end. We don't actually kill them, obviously, but
you'd never get to the next level that way. Yeah.
We need the dues.
Need the dues.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, the ice cream and beer after that's awesome.
Is it homemade?
Yes. Well, I don't know. The beer isn't always, but the ice cream is.
Nice.
Ryan, what's up, man? We're talking about the traditions. Any thoughts on traditions? Good, bad? Do you practice any traditions or stop practicing any?
Sorry, I dropped my headphone. I don't feel that well today. I'm not so sharp today. I feel like I'm coming down with something.
Oh my!
You're getting my cold and
I dropped. Man, I tell you, it's a stomach thing. I don't know. So I don't want to be. I kind of just wanted to listen, but traditions, rituals, yeah.
Well, there's John. You and I have talked about secular humanistic Judaism, right? Is that there's a website out there, shj.org, which is basically they've taken Judaism and they have as a group they've jettisoned sort of belief in the supernatural, but they have kept all of the traditions, all of the holidays, all of the festivals, and they have sort of reworked them in terms of their meaning, right? Since they got rid of the idea of the supernatural, they sort of reworked a lot of the stories to be sort of the history of the Jewish people, or who they are, or where they came from, or their trials, or whatever it is, whichever the holiday happens to be. So I think that's kind of interesting that they recognized that there was value in the traditions themselves, just if for the sake of having the traditions, um, and that they could change the underlying meaning, that gave birth to the traditions, but without losing the value that the traditions bring.
Mm. Abraham, I know you're Orthodox Jew. Could you speak to that, or maybe you want to share something, traditions that you like to partake in?
I prefer not to use the term Orthodox.
Oh, I'm sorry. What do you like?
I'll use Orthodox for the sake of discussion because it might get technical, but
Okay.
I'm Torah observant.
Okay.
Orthodox isn't it's a complicated title.
Okay.
Sorry, what was the question about rituals?
If you wanted to, I don't know if you heard what Carlton was saying, if you
Yeah.
wanted to speak to that, or if you wanted to share something, some tradition
Well,
that
it's
you
pretty
like.
interesting because like well, at least in North America, but throughout the majority of the world, like the vast majority of all Jews aren't what you'd call observant.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they still like they'll still have meals on Friday nights as a family. Like that will be like the time they'll have Friday night meals. They'll still like do Hanukkah and the Passover Seder, and they do all these things even though the concept of observing the Torah in itself is void and the belief of God is most likely not there. So it's seen as like their cultural heritage, kind of like how maybe I don't know what a good example would be, but like somebody maybe celebrating Thanksgiving is like a lot of Jews celebrating Passover.
Yeah, or like John as a Catholic eating fish on Friday,
Or like
not eating meat on Friday. Yeah.
or like Carlton and everything that Carlton does.
Thank you.
Almost forgot about you guys. Jeez.
Well,
How long
like
you
I
been?
was sharing when I first opened up the room, Pat, I was sharing how this topic, I figured let me bring this topic forward, and it was just that an old Jewish girlfriend that she was having, and I know she's not a practicing Jew, but yet she was getting her son, bar mitzvahed, and I kind of questioned her on it, and she got a little hissy, to say the
Yeah,
least.
yeah,
Yeah.
they get very defensive about it. It's interesting because like I think it's like well to me, and it might be funny coming from somebody who's quite observant. It's kind of like what's the point? Like so like there's like people who like there's secular Jews who will not eat pork, but they'll eat at non-kosher restaurants. They won't keep a kosher home, but they won't eat pork. So I'm like, what? Well, why do you care? They'd be like, well, it's part of my Jewish tradition. I'm like, it's odd. I guess it's odd somebody observant, but I'm like, what? Well, why? Like it just seems so irrational to me. Like if you don't care, then why would you care to that extent? And when you question it, they get really snippy about it.
Yeah.
They get defensive. I don't know why, but like
Hold it close.
all the time.
Again, do people? Okay, go ahead. Somebody was
If they hold the belief close to their heart and they know there's problems with it, then they'll get snippy. They won't all get snippy.
Is it because that there's is it there? You think there's this underlying? I hate to even say this, but could it be that there's this underlying sort of insecurity or fear that maybe they're wrong, and then they feel like if they do hold on to at least one or two traditions, then they'll have something, they'll have a raft to cling to. Should in the end it turns out that they actually are wrong, they could say, but I didn't eat pork. It's sort of.
I think it's more so because it's kind of like they still identify as being Jewish, and I think post 1948 a lot of it has become you identify by being Jewish by attaching yourself to the state of Israel. But in a lot of cases, it's still like, well, what does it mean to be Jewish? We're like, well, we have all these things we do, even though they're rooted in the religion and they don't practice the religion. But like, what else is there to be identifiably cultural Jewish if it's not rooted somehow back into the religion because that's where it comes from? So they're kind of like, if I take all these things away, then what is me being Jewish then? If I don't celebrate these things.
It's interesting, and I'm reasonably sure you'll disagree with the premise. It's not mine, so I don't care. But yeah, it's like this group, the secular humanistic Judaism. You know, when you read their website, they try to make the case that Judaism is a matter of self-identification, so that if you identify with the Jewish people, if you identify with their trials, their tribulations, their goals, their ethics, their culture, then you are in fact as much a Jew as anybody else. Now, I understand that within Judaism, there's varying degrees of rules, if you will, as to whether or not somebody is in fact Jewish or not. But I did find that interesting that they sort of have gone to the other extreme, if you will, and sort of opened the doors to just you are if you say you are kind of a mentality.
Why would you want to say you are? It's
well, I don't.
A guy outside my house revving his car. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you want to identify as that? I mean, if your whole family, okay, that makes sense. Your whole family believes one way. But if you don't have anybody else that you know, then to identify yourself as a certain group doesn't seem very wise.
I don't know. I think that's a good question, Yuri. I'm actually mixed feelings on that. I think I was, I wasn't raised Jewish, but I was raised in a Jewish neighborhood. And I grew up in a time, where TV was all the Borscht Belt comics, all the stand-up comics were Jewish, all the humor that I was exposed to, for the most part, was Jewish humor, Jewish style humor, at least American Jewish style humor. I find that there is something in the Jewish mentality. There's something in the love of life and in the love of learning that I find very attractive. And so there's that half of me, but I hear your other side too. Is, well, I can still appreciate that without necessarily trying to make myself a member of the tribe, so to speak. I don't necessarily see the need to assert some claim that I'm Jewish simply because I can identify with a particular culture. And yeah, I'm not going anywhere with this conversation. I'm just going to rambling. I thought it was a good question.
No, I don't find it important at all.
I think it's similar to, it happens with other cultures too. Like there's people who, for example, there's some people that are really into Japanese culture. So they learn the language, they eat the food, they really much decorate their house in that way, and a lot of times they end up actually moving to Japan. They have this like intrinsic pull, even though that's not their native culture. It has nothing to do with anything else besides the fact that they have some pull or attachment or to that culture. So I could understand where that's coming from. I don't understand psychologically, maybe it's kind of strange, but it happens with plenty of different other peoples.
Yep.
If we're not shunned for being different, then it might not happen as children, right? So if you want to fit in basically to something.
That's a possibility. I wouldn't discount that.
Could be like one of the million causes anyway.
Well, but I wonder if that, Yuri, doesn't tie back to John's sort of topic, right? I wonder if, this kind of was the point I made way earlier on, was I think that tradition gives us a core to come back to, a stable core that doesn't change. That's one of the things that makes tradition desirable. And I wonder if, to your point, that maybe people that do find themselves easily drawn to a different culture from the one they grew up in are feeling those emotions because in their particular family or environment or when they were growing up, they didn't have any type of very strong traditions or core or central core events or ideologies that sort of provided a grounding for them, and so they are sort of afloat culturally looking for a home.
Would you say that's how you were drawn to atheism, Carlton?
Oh, ouch, Ryan. Is that how I was? No, it wasn't, because I was actually I wasn't
intending to hurt you.
No, you
a fair
didn't.
question.
I was being facetious. No, I spent 25 years as a born-again Christian prior to becoming an atheist. So there wasn't a sense of looking for a community. In fact, in becoming an atheist, I lost the community that I did have for a very long time. And actually, that was more of my struggle than actually becoming an atheist philosophically. Was more the cultural shift that occurred.
What? Please explain the cultural shift.
Well,
why did you leave? Why do you not believe in your idea of Christianity?
Let me ask John permission here, because that's going to take us a far afield, I think.
Yeah, I don't want. We're gonna go off topic. If we want to do that after,
I'll be happy to stay with you after and answer that, Ryan.
yeah, we could do that.
I'm sorry. I mean, all right. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
You're in a structured hangout here, Ryan.
We are.
It's called God Talk, right?
John controls this with a
Yeah, but
big
we're
whip.
trying to do. We're trying to stay on topic. For the sake of our listening audience.
Here, I think what I did incorrectly was, kind of engage Carlton's personal beliefs, right? And I get that. My bad. I understand.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
Wrong?
I don't have any problem answering the questions at all, Ryan. I'd be happy to, but we'll do it after we go off air.
Now, how about do you think certain traditions, because of sometimes peer pressure, family pressure, traditions kind of affect our individuality?
How do you mean that, John?
I mean,
yes. Short answer, yes.
Cause a conflict within oneself.
Yep. Wouldn't even have to think twice. Yep.
Here's another tradition I was thinking of. How about as far as socially, or how about national traditions? I think of like going to the ball game, and we're singing, Star Spangled Banner and God Bless America, and
Put your hand over your heart.
right. Those kind of traditions, and I mean,
yeah, that's why I have a problem with the Pledge of Allegiance being taught to the youth.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason they should be indoctrinated to pledge an allegiance of an idea that they're not even able to really understand what they're doing. They're just taught to do it. A 7-year-old, doesn't understand that. They're just doing it because they're told to.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ones that don't are ridiculed because their parents tell them not to. And then they can be for a variety of different reasons why they choose not to.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part in America, you're supposed to say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning, put your hand over your heart.
So yeah, just like the religious tradition. So if one might feel like, say, if they have a different political view, or they're just not too happy with their country right now, or they're asked to say the Pledge of Allegiance, or let's honor the troops, and they're not supporting whatever war going on at that time. There's significant pressure there, to kind of fit in, don't rock the boat, that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Which is why I think it's unfair, especially to bring our kids up thinking that that's how the norm is in a public system. We're supposed to have separation of church and state, but we're also supposed to teach our kids to pledge an allegiance to something before they even know what they're even pledging to, really.
And how many national holidays, kind of lost their meaning, and it's only about the fireworks and the barbecue. It's not about any kind of patriotism. It's not even about recognizing your Independence Day, July 4th, or even
bread and circuses. Exactly.
Well, I think they all have, but I think that those holidays, apart from the very first generation that was there when they were created, I don't think they were ever really about the original meaning. I mean, I think the first generation it was, right? Because it was them that went through whatever this event was that the celebration grew out of. There's a direct connection. But I think once you get to the generation after, and certainly when you get 2 or 3 generations away, yeah, it's about the barbecue. and the fireworks.
Yeah, it depends how it affected you.
What's that?
Parents depends how it affected you, or your parents, your grandparents, or whatever. And then if it didn't have no effect on you, well then you don't care. You don't care about St. Patrick's Day.
Right, right. When we talk about Veterans Day, is this? I mean, even well, okay, that may be a bad one, but if we talk about
Bread and circuses.
Labor Day, there's a good one.
Labor Day.
Somebody tell me what Labor Day is about.
We're all supposed to feel like we're pregnant.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah.
I think it's a youth thing.
Yeah.
From a non-American perspective, I think two great examples would be in Canada we have something called the Victoria Day.
Yeah, and what
it's Victoria Day is the day is May 24th, and it's a long weekend here, and it's the day Queen Victoria was born. That's her birthday, May 24th. But people don't even call it Victoria Day anymore. They just call it May 24 weekend. And it's a long weekend where people get drunk, and they specifically use May 24 like a 2-4 of beer. Because a long weekend you have. So it has nothing remotely to do with Queen Victoria anymore, to the point where we've actually colloquially changed the name to just not even say Victoria Day. And another example would be Saint Jean Baptiste Day.
There's a May long. Sorry, there's a May long in every province. That's why, or even in every country. The States has one too. Right?
What?
What's wrong with the Baptiste?
So, and then there's Saint Jean Baptiste Day, and that's celebrated in Quebec. And Quebec's utilize that day, and they celebrate that in Quebec culture a lot larger scale than Canada Day, which would be like our American Independence Day. So they particularly celebrate Saint Jean Baptiste Day. They don't celebrate Canada Day to the same extent as kind of like a showing their national pride, even though they're a nation within a nation.
And somebody tell me what Guy Fawkes Day is, please.
That's the runner, right? Who is injured or crippled or wheelchaired? And he did a marathon or something?
No, I don't think so, but I need a Canadian here for this. Hold on.
Okay. I'm a Canadian, damn it.
Oh, well, okay. Oh, then you probably are right, and I'm probably wrong, but let me... Okay, I'm looking it up right now. I'm wiki this. And
I knew that you knew what he was talking about.
I got the joke. I got the joke.
Now, also known as Guido Fawkes, the name he adopted while fighting for the Spanish in the Low Countries, was a member of the group of provincial English Catholics who planned the failed gunpowder plot of 1605. Yeah, no, this is not the runner guy.
The other guy.
It's the other guy, exactly. It's the runner guy. All right, so there you go. But
some people call May long Patriots Day. That's what we hear over here anyway. I don't know what part of Canada you are from, but it's just got to change to Patriots Day instead of Queen Victoria's birthday, or Victoria Day.
Really? I haven't heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a Day of Honor too in May. May 9th, National Day of Honor. They're just in my calendar, right? So I'm just looking at.
What traditions do you like to participate in, Yuri?
With traditions, Christmas, for sure. Easter to an extent. Some Easters, if everybody's kind of free. Halloween. Fucking love Halloween.
St. Patrick's Day.
Why do you like
my parents' birthdays? My birthday. New Year's. That's a good one. Definitely celebrate that one.
Mm-hmm.
And Canada Day.
Don't forget St. Patty's Day. Come on now.
I could care less about that.
Really? Do they not celebrate that in Canada?
I just don't know when it is, and I never wear green.
March 17th. That's okay.
March 7th. Make sure you wear your green. I'm part Irish, so I wear my...
It's 2 days from my birthday, so I consider that a long holiday.
My birthday, yeah, that's a big one.
When's your birthday again, Yuri? So don't forget.
Oh, I'm not going to tell you.
Well, that's not going to help then get you any presents, is it?
Well, yeah, like you're going to send a present.
I had it wrapped. I had it almost wrapped up.
I want that tennis ball behind you, the signed one.
That's a softball.
Okay.
So let's start there.
The one it's spelled Dottie, right?
Dottie, yes. And
Yeah.
if I give it to you, Shanna will show up at my door with a Sith, getting ready to take my head off.
Hmm.
She is.
Um,
I
did
see
I?
we had Kevin and Serb left. Okay.
Oh,
What?
okay.
I don't know. You want to say something? Ed?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's kind of important to question where a lot of these holidays originated from. Not necessarily the implication or importance that we or the emphasis that we give them now, um, but where did they begin? I think that's a question that most people overlook.
Well, that's an interesting question, right? Because that's the argument that the Jehovah's Witnesses make every Halloween and Christmas when they come to my house, right? That this is a pagan holiday, and therefore you shouldn't celebrate it.
Hmm.
Is
Yeah.
it does it matter where it came from? Can't I assign
Sure.
it? Why does it? Okay, that was another quick answer.
I don't think so.
Why does it matter where it came from?
Because you could be participating in something that you don't even actually understand. You're giving it, yeah, and I understand the idea that you just because you believe it to be something else doesn't mean it is. But then you have to realize, why is that a societal belief? Why do they choose to do that? Why do they tell you it's an important holiday? Why have you grown up participating in it? Why have people practiced it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. Okay.
It's important because my parents were born on that day, and if I don't do something for them, then they'll be mad
Sure,
at me.
yeah, but that's a personal holiday. I meant a national or a global holiday, a societal, a cultural norm.
So
You
let
know,
So
me ask.
September 19th. Let's talk about an important one, right? September 19th. This is International Talk Like a Pirate's Day. Um, and this is important to know. A little bit of the history and where this came from. You
well,
know,
it's not so important because it's not a nationally observed holiday.
it
I'm trying to
is.
stay
It
on topic.
isn't. Oh,
No, it's not a common nationally or
It's not.
internationally
It's
observed holiday.
international.
We could talk about Flag Day. We could talk about national Ice Cream Day. I don't want to talk about Pirate Day. Okay, I want to talk
okay.
about the fact.
International, right?
Okay, that's fine. If we want to, if we want to debate something that's
Okay, well, let me give an example here, like you're saying. Okay. Let's take like Halloween. Okay. Now, we can go into the roots about Halloween and learn where it came from. Do you feel that even though I still learn where it came from, and I'm not practicing, being a druid or anything, or, my intent is not to, light a jack-o'-lantern to scare away demons or anything like that, but it's just to have fun, and I'm going to continue to participate. Do you think there's still harm despite knowing the origins?
I think it's where your attention is, your energy will be. So even if you participated in something, even though maybe you don't believe in, that you're participating in an occult, demonic exercise or a worship of the dead, the fact that you participate in the ritual means that you kind of are going along with beliefs and giving your own attention and energy into something because someone told you to. Yeah, so yeah. I think therein lies the issue.
Ryan, I have a question for you. You're a Christian, correct? Or
Well,
you
I was
identify?
just kind of curious if I answered John's question.
Oh, sorry.
I'd be happy to answer yours, but did
Yeah,
that?
yeah, and and just Pat, I'm trying to kind of stay on
Sorry.
topic. So if your question's on topic, that's
No,
fine.
it's on topic. It's about
Oh, okay. Let me just say, Ryan. No, yeah, you answered my question, but it seems like okay. Again, like all right, I learned about the origins, but yet I still do these things. I'm still not thinking about because I'm not believing in demons, say. So to me, having a jack o' lantern or wearing a costume, stuff like that, for me has nothing to do about trying to hide from demons or scare away demons or stuff like that. It's just to have fun. Um, so you're saying though, I'm still getting myself involved in some kind of pagan ritual and
Well,
Can it be
Even
endangered to me? No, I don't believe it.
no, not endangered. No, that's not what I mean.
Okay.
What
That's
I
a
mean is
danger.
if you focus your energy, you know what I mean? That's what I mean. It's a control system.
You're leaving
I don't
yourself
know.
open
Even
to
fun, doing something for fun, participating in something you use fun doesn't mean it's harmful unless it is harmful to someone or something. But the fact that you know, divert your mind there, that you participate in something, means you do give your attention and energy there. And you know, it's if it happens on every day and it happens, does that make sense? I don't mean that. I'm not judging anybody. That's not what I mean. It's not dangerous unless something
Okay.
actually is dangerous. You know what I mean?
All right. No, because I know you were bringing up the significance of knowing you should know the origin of why you celebrate,
Right.
traditions and everything.
And
But
maybe not
just
you,
for pure
but for the
education
mass
value.
people. Yeah, and for the majority of people probably don't. But even if they did, like you said, even if they did and they didn't do it for the implications or for the actual reason that it was, participation is almost, it's almost like possession is like 4/5 of the law for an analogy. You know what I mean?
Okay. And do realize, I think this can go the other way too. You can learn about a holiday, maybe you celebrate a holiday, and then you learn about the origins, and you might even show a greater appreciation now and even enjoy it more. So, oh no. But Path had a question for you, Ryan. Go ahead, Path.
Oh, sorry. I was just. This is Ryan. Ryan, you're a Christian, or you'd identify as being part of that kind of worldview?
I don't consider myself anyone that would believe in any kind of worldview.
Okay. Okay.
To answer your question, yeah. So
Are you gonna ask him about a Christian tradition? Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense if he's
Okay.
not a.
I understand what you mean by worldview, but you asked me directly, so I would say no.
Okay, fair enough.
Did you want to say what you were going to address anyway? I mean, perhaps we could still comment on it.
Well, I was just curious because of like the two main holidays that non-Christians would associate with Christians would be Christmas and Easter, and there are multiple different.
Sure. Did you see
Not
the
all.
links I put in the side
Yeah.
chat, by the way?
Hold
Not
on,
all.
Ryan.
Is
Not,
Easter the ninth gate? But go ahead. Please finish your question.
Yes, let him finish, please. Go ahead.
um, no, I was just saying that those are the two main dates that a lot of outsiders would associate with Christianity, even though there's other holidays that different Christians practice or observe. But I was curious more so in the context of, since there are multiple different dates that different Christians practice both those holidays on. I was more concerned about Easter because I know a lot of Christians just don't follow Christmas because they don't see an association with it, but at least you could see a biblical basis for celebrating Easter. So I was wondering specifically why a particular Christian might celebrate Easter or Christmas on the particular dates that they do, since there are varying different dates per tradition, and I was just curious about the background on that. Like Protestants and Catholics will celebrate Easter on a particular date, whereas the rest of Christendom will celebrate Easter on another date.
Oh, you mean like the Greek Orthodox celebrating on a different day,
Well,
right?
like the Ethiopians and the Antiochians and the Eritreans and
Mhm.
the all the rest, just everybody but the Catholics and the Protestants.
I guess your question is why do they celebrate it on different times?
Yeah, and but more so on the idea of not like a hit from a historical point, but I was asking more on a personal point, like why somebody might choose this particular date for celebrating Easter, not the other date that other Christians might celebrate. But I'm just curious.
I guess that.
Is it more of a theological thing, or like the topic is it more of like just ritual, less to do? Because I think
Ritual.
it came up with like the Halloween thing. It's like, oh, it's just kind of what we do, not because of
Yeah, it's a ritual. It has nothing to do with. Yeah, it's
Well,
ritual based.
I think yeah, I would say I mean I would say there it's mostly traditional. Though I even though I was raised Roman Catholic, did the Protestant thing and celebrated Easter that day. I I do recognize and I kind of appreciate how the Eastern Orthodox schedule their Easter to be more biblically, at least try to get more biblically accurate as far as being during Passover or right after Passover when supposedly Jesus died and rose from the dead. So I kind of appreciate that they they try to do that more to be more accurate that way.
yeah, and they don't even call it like the only Christians I know are Orthodox from various forms of Orthodoxy. So I'm kind of ignorant on the Western concepts of Christianity, but they don't even call it Easter. They call it Pascha, which is just because it's just what it's called in Hebrew, Pesach, from Passover. So they call Easter Pascha. That's interesting.
Yeah, and you're correct, Ryan. Yeah, Ishtar, goddess of fertility. That's where we get a lot with the eggs and the rabbits and all those kind of traditions. I remember when I got into, yeah, I mean, there was few years there when I was a Christian, I became so dogmatic about these things. I didn't want to get a Christmas tree. I was like, I'm not going to do the pagan stuff, and I was like so judgmental. People coloring eggs, and you're
And
losing the real
yeah,
meaning, and yeah, you know.
and I don't, and I understand that, and that's an extreme point of view where a lot of people will say, well, no, 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 I'm not gonna do that because that's not what it is. That's not the origin. But it's still about where you give your focus. You know.
Right.
Um.
Right,
So
like coloring eggs and doing Easter hunt eggs. I mean, it's fun, they're not worshiping the
right,
goddess of Ishtar.
right. But
Right.
the fact that I always take into question is, why are they promoted among society? Is always just interesting. That's to me. It doesn't matter about the date, about
Well, a
anything.
lot of it's about business. It's about business. It's about big business.
Yes, bread and
Money.
circuses keep them
Yeah,
happy,
yeah,
make some money, and
yeah.
get along with your day.
hmm I mean, don't you create? I mean, yeah. I can see that, and we can criticize it for being that. We could also say, hey, isn't it creating jobs too? Could it?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So that's part of the economy. Yeah, yeah.
Here's a question in the same light. Is there any are we is a topic? Are we say was it rituals? Is that like the correct? I guess rituals.
Just yes, traditions,
Tradition. Okay.
rituals.
Is there any
Yeah.
tradition? So a lot of the times or a lot of the answers that people have given, and the ones that I was thinking as well, are things that we might have just grown up with and we accept. Are there things, traditions or rituals that people have adopted like as a choice? Do you know what I mean? Like, so like.
Yes.
Yeah, New Year's.
Yeah, people choose to participate in their own rituals.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not saying. I'm saying like things that aren't part of your native culture that you then adopted. So like saying New Year's is something like anybody living in a Western or maybe any country, we all celebrate New Year's since we're children. Like it's part of our society. But there's something that you adopted later on in life because you thought this had some value.
Oh, me personally?
I was just throwing it out there for everybody.
My birthday.
Mhm.
Again, yeah, it's adopted later in life.
I actually created my own holiday. I did. Because I have such an affinity to the number three. March 3rd is John holiday. Since it's 3-3, that's my holiday. So I
I
created
enjoyed
a holiday.
participating. I got to go, guys. Thank you, Brother John. Peace, brothers. Y'all be
Oh,
good.
okay, Ryan.
I got to be good.
Maybe we'll
All
see you later.
right.
Pop
All right.
in. All right. So yeah, that's kind of something I created
His
myself.
first God Talk.
I'm sorry,
That was his first God Talk, wasn't it?
I think maybe, I don't know, it might have been one other one. I'm not sure because I've been in so many different hangouts with him. I'm not sure, but it was good to have him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to answer your question, Pat, there, that for me, I adopted my own holiday, my own tradition.
Just make your own holiday.
That's it.
I don't.
Uh,
For
yeah.
myself, I can't think of any. Like, there's a lot of things I adopted, not adopted, but I started to observe when I became observant. But I wouldn't say that's associated with the same thing. Like, I think an example would be like when I was younger, I stopped celebrating my birthday. Like, I just don't do it anymore.
So you don't celebrate your birthday at all now?
No, I don't recognize it in any way.
Okay.
What about Remembrance Day? You don't even actually learn about that until you're in school sometime, usually. So you would adopt that when you learn about it.
Yeah, but then again, like, that's kind of being pushed on you. I'm saying more from like a free will standpoint of saying like, I like this, I'm going to do this.
The thing
Something
with
that's
holidays
of
is
like the culture around you.
you need the culture to support it. And you can't just say, "Oh, it's National Yuri Day today, so I got the week off or whatever."
No, okay, so let's say like let's put it this way. Let's say somebody who's I don't know, somebody's born in a Buddhist household chooses then to celebrate Christmas or celebrate.
I just wanted to pop in it's something. Your question made me think of one thing of a ritual that you adopt later on your own. Masturbation.
Oh God.
That's not a holiday.
People make that into like a ritualistic like.
All right, Ryan.
No. I didn't mean it scoffingly.
Drinking, Ryan.
I meant it as a
Like
good
you have
point.
times
It's something that you decide to do. You grow up and do it.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Is that why you're leaving? You're going to go practice your tradition?
Yeah, I'm gonna go
now?
ritual. No, I really don't feel good, but it just made me think of that. And I was like, that is something. I was trying to think of like something that you grow up and maybe decide to do.
Okay.
And that was the only thing I could really.
All
No,
right.
you can't
That
because
came to my head, but yeah, I may pop in later, but I gotta go.
I'll see you later, Ryan.
Okay.
Ryan goes, and Idol Smasher has joined us. What's up, James?
welcome. No, you need public support, and so you have to adopt a religious holiday because that's the only support that's already out there. You can't make up something.
No, I'm not saying you're making up something necessarily. I'm saying you're taking something that's not something you were brought up observing, and doesn't necessarily have to be religious.
Then it would have to be you would live in two different countries, say half your life in one country, and then you move to a different country. Then you would adopt their holidays. But without the support of the people you're living with, you can't do it. Like it wouldn't be recognized by anybody you know.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying if like anybody's ever chosen to do something that isn't part of their cultural norm.
Yeah, I chose not to go to church once. You know, that's part of your cultural norm.
But like in a ritualistic sense, like
Every Sunday?
I get, yeah, but I don't know. That's why like the example I gave I didn't like when I said like I chose not to, because that's like it's the negative. It's not like you're taking something on. You're just refusing to do something. So I don't know. Maybe it's just an awkward question. I would have to think about it to rephrase it better.
James, how you doing? Are you listening? Have you heard any of the broadcast? James, unmute your mic. Oh, you just got in? Need a couple minutes? Okay, he's trying to work the mic. One tradition I remember that when I was growing up, and it's an Italian thing because I'm half Italian. My mom's Italian, Sicilian, and my father's side was English, Irish. But so the traditions I got were like kind of half-assed because the family wasn't fully Italian or fully Irish. So but the thing we used to do on Sunday, and I noticed with like my friends who were all Italian, Sundays was always it was pasta. You ate your pasta. You had pasta on Sunday. The family got together and you ate dinner early. It was usually okay after church or a couple hours after the fact. around 2 or 3 o'clock. Family got together and you had dinner, and that was a nice tradition. We did that for a little while. My friend who I he they still follow that tradition as much as they can, even though they're like 2 hours away from his parents. They'll try to make it a point as much as possible, him and his sister, to get to their parents' house and have Sunday, dinner at 2 o'clock, because it's Italian tradition. I
Why is pasta an Italian tradition?
don't know. I know
Italians and
Chinese,
pasta.
right? The Chinese made it, right?
And
I don't know.
tomatoes aren't native to Italy.
Yeah,
When did those enter the picture?
interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know.
Yeah, but you can make pasta without tomatoes, like macaroni and cheese. Alfredo.
Mm.
I'm just wondering. I don't know. It's a side question.
Never really looked into it.
You're Italian, half Italian.
Only half a time, like I said, only half interested.
Yeah, but you've got the most authority here. Should look into it.
No other Italians in the room.
No.
Yeah. James, you got that mic working? Come on, radio guy, get
Guess
that
that
mic,
answers that.
get that microphone working, James. I want to get your ideas, your opinions, or anything in before we close the session. Carlton, you still with us? Because I know it's getting near bedtime for him. Wife's gonna be calling him any moment. I know, usually around this time, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, that's right. Carlton, why are you still awake?
Oh,
You're gonna
on the
have
bed.
coffee with Carlton tomorrow.
Yeah. I know Carlton's bedtime is 11:30. I know usually Prescott, he likes to get to bed around 10:30 unless it's something interesting and he's gotten some sleep earlier.
I go to bed after I eat. I'm still eating.
I have a tradition or ritual every morning. I need that cup of coffee.
Addicted to speed. We were just talking about that. If you set your coffee thing to brew a cup in the morning, then the smell will wake you up. It's like a smelly alarm clock. Then it's a lot nicer than waking up to a radio or something.
The best
Or a beat.
part of waking up.
Yeah, exactly.
In your cup. Hey, James, you got your mic working?
I got my mic working, and I am. Coffee is one of my few religious acts in the world. Religiously, I drink coffee. So I guess I have a religious tradition in which I practice daily myself.
All day?
At least once.
Right.
At least once.
In the morning when you wake up, right?
Yep. And my day goes a lot better when I can have a cup of coffee and maybe a smoke to go along with it, and then my day is just good from there on out. If I can sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee.
Definitely. Any thoughts on traditions? I don't know if you caught any of the broadcast. While we were discussing it.
I couldn't.
Oh, okay. Well, we're covering. Well, we cover a lot of different things, but here's just any traditions that that you practice now.
It's more like, what traditions am I going to practice that? It's like, as I'm surrounded by so much tradition that I really want no part of.
That too. Okay.
Whether it's like, Christmas is a crazy time. There's a lot of things I have to draw a line between tradition and religious practice or idolatry, whatever.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that, about how practicing a tradition, despite it, kind of going against one's personal convictions, and how any of us in the room or society in general will practice a tradition despite not believing it or something, just so they can not cause waves, don't start the big family drama, and feel accepted. Maybe even I guess it would be dependent on one's personality, but that's what you kind of is that where you're kind of going?
Kind of, sort of, yeah. Christmas tree, fine. If we're gonna have decorate a bush in the house, fine. Um, I know better, but there are restrictions we can do to it. Like we won't have a. I ask for no religious symbols or prayers or anything on the tree.
No, no, but your wife is Christian. Is she Christian? Okay.
Yeah, she's Catholic when the family's around.
Okay. Now, is she of like Italian or
Irish.
Irish? So let me ask you this, because I know in both of those traditions, who were usually Roman Catholic, and you would set up the Christmas tree and put the nativity scene under the Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what
Um,
about angels on top of the
so
tree or as decorations?
Yeah.
Like
does that
angel?
become difficult for you, even though you're not participating in it? But
Well, it does tend to. I know I'll sound all weird and all, but it does tend to, for me, smack of Odazora, of foreign worship, of bad worship, really. The whole birth of God and man and salvation from the devil and all that good stuff kind of goes along with it. So I try to keep as little of that as possible around. I understand that she's going to get a lot of it from her parents, and my daughter's going to get a lot of that from that side of the family. Mine too. But even with that, I have to draw the line. So one day when she asks, well, why doesn't Daddy ever go to church with the family? When she asks, I can maybe give her something. I don't know. I don't.
I guess it could be tough when you have these conflict of traditions going on. I mean, even when I was God, I was like a real fundy, and I was sharing earlier. I was getting really down on Christmas because I learned about how the trees were like a pagan symbol. So for me, it was like I was like for a couple of Christmas, I'm not having that tree, and why am I decorating it? This is all it's all the festival lights and all the stuff. It's like it's a pagan symbol. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
I kind of like I guess took the fun out of it. Now I don't want a tree just for practical reasons.
Yeah. No kidding.
It's just a hassle.
Well, I was explaining earlier. I go outside my house. I'm surrounded by trees. So to go out and buy a dead one and bring it in the house, put some ornaments on it. I guess after a while I kind of do appreciate it. But every year I go through this with my wife. But like, why would I? Because it's a tradition. And I'm always the one who winds up cleaning it up and getting and taking it out. I do have a lot of fun though. I'm starting a tradition now. I did it just started last year because I'll take after Christmas, I'll take the tree outside and let it just dry out, and I waited till Easter, and now I burn the Christmas tree on Easter in the fireplace in the fire pit outside. Oh, Christmas trees, man, they go up real nice.
Yeah, see, we've never used a real tree. Not once in our whole lives. Never. I don't know anybody really who has. All our neighbors, everybody uses plastic trees.
Yeah.
All their lives.
The pine tree is very flammable.
Would it also sorry.
Why would you bring it into your house? I mean, sap everywhere and all that, and you're killing a tree and, bugs, whatever else.
Well, you don't really get the bugs, but you get the smell, and even that only lasted maybe 2 days if you're lucky.
Yeah, that's the tree bleeding out.
Yeah, and it's nice. Again, back to tradition.
It's horrible tradition.
What? Are you picking on my tree tradition, are we?
Yeah, the tree tradition. You have plastic trees now.
Yeah, I know we do. They're not the same.
You don't have to get sap all over your house and hands and.
I like it. Doesn't matter.
You don't have bugs like infesting your place. You don't
Yeah.
have electricity leaking all over the place.
That's
You don't
right.
have a fire hazard. You can
It
hook
is a
up
fire
lights to
hazard.
it.
It's even more of a fire hazard when I put candles on little saucers on the branches like my grandmother used
That's
to do.
traditional too.
It is, yeah.
Oh, is it your bedtime yet there,
Hey,
Colton?
what happened to? Yeah, it is actually. What happened to Ryan?
Ryan had to go.
Oh, okay. Well, there.
And I tried to talk to you. I don't know where you disappeared to.
I had to get downstairs and start roasting coffee. Speaking of, I see somebody talking about it. I didn't have any coffee roasted for tomorrow morning. And then now, but here's the ultimate klutz, right? Here's the ultimate old person fuck up. I'm downstairs and I'm redoing a table, right? And finishing a table. So it was all sanded. So while I was down there putting the coffee in, I took the stain and I stained the table. And then I brought it, because it was dusty in the basement still from sanding, I brought the table up to the kitchen. It's a round tabletop. Brought it up to the kitchen. I laid it on the kitchen floor. I go over to get some more coffee beans, put the coffee beans away, and I literally when I put it down, I told my wife, I said, don't touch it. It's still wet. I go over to get coffee beans, and I literally walked back right across the tabletop. I mean, I stepped on it twice without even realizing it, and got to the sink and went, what was that bump? And I turned around and went, fuck. I just walked right through this thing.
What, do you have slippers on?
No, socks on.
Old man, big fat socks?
Yeah. I walked right through that. I'm like, shit. So I go downstairs and restain it again real quick. Anyway, I was hoping to answer Ryan's question. He seemed a bit odd, maybe, a little, as a person. I don't know. He seemed to get really anxious or kind of, I don't say irritated, but upset,
Maybe
easily.
Maybe stick around, and if you wanted to, ask you.
Yeah. Well, I put my link to international. It is International Talk Like a Pirates Day. I want to point this out.
Okay.
Actually, last year the entire Dallas Police Department celebrated it. Even on the radio, they did all their calls in pirate talk for the day. Huh. So it's an up-and-coming holiday, guys. It's going to outstrip Festivus here any day now.
Oh, good Lord, we have a day for everything now. We're just taking up the whole year.
Yeah, but there's still work days, so it doesn't really count.
Well, you could take it off, right? I think we should just make a stand. Tell your boss, International, that's it.
Going out voting.
Start writing letters to your HR rep.
What's that, Pat?
I was just saying you'd have to go out boating and say it's part of your obligation for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta go fishing. I mean, gotta go looting or whatever. Pirates.
Intelligent.
You might be able to get the day off if you tell her you worship Johnny Depp. Could be like a Pirates of the Caribbean Day,
Guy's an icon.
Pretty good actor too.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, you can be like all sorts of people.
James, let me ask you.
Sure.
I mean, what traditions do you enjoy?
Fireworks on the 4th. Thanksgiving Day. I do enjoy Thanksgiving, and I do enjoy blowing stuff up on the 4th. I enjoy baseball. I consider that a kind of a tradition. I grew up with it.
Yeah.
You go to games?
When I can. It's been a few years since we bought a house and got married. I got married, bought a house. We got kids. I just can't. I haven't been able to. I wish, man. It's been a while.
It's in the works.
It's a tradition for me to take Easter eggs out back and swat them with a 7-iron. That's what I think of Easter.
Hard boiled, I hope.
Hard boiled. I even do the cream eggs, and if I do eat an Easter egg, I'll bite half of it off and spit it in the trash can before I eat the rest of it, just to nullify it, just in case.
It's power because it's pretty.
It just something about Easter. The more I learned about it, and it's like and you see the kids, and it's fun, and they're all dressed up, and they're baskets, and but then they get older, and that'll be a whole lot of wasted time and effort, for nothing, for nothing.
They got kids.
But that's a tradition that people do, is to hunt Easter eggs. So is it a? I mean, when do we draw the line between pagan practice and tradition on these
I
things?
think something related that I would be worried about is when I have kids. There's okay. So specifically talking about my cultural context, there's things that, like, I would say the majority of the people. I'll just use the term Orthodox or
Okay.
ultra
Torah observant
Orthodox,
from?
yeah, Torah observant folks do that I won't do or don't do. And I'm kind of worried about the time when I have kids, God willing soon, and I'm going to have to tell them, like, yeah, everybody else around you's doing this, but we're not going to do this. Especially if it's something fun, because a lot of things are fun.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't
Well,
know.
otherwise you couldn't teach your kids, right? They'd have to be fun. Otherwise,
Yeah.
your kids wouldn't like it, and they wouldn't be indoctrinated into it. Got to be a fun activity.
Yeah, that's something I'm worried about.
There's nothing. I haven't found anything that would forbid me from lighting my. One thing I do like about the Western tradition of winter, whatever we're doing, I do like lights. I like lots of lights. I think that's one thing. I hope that never has to go out of style in the world to come. Is that during the darkest time of the year, we illuminate the night with just multicolor, bright colors, and okay, we don't have to make them in the shape of a dead man on a stick or whatever, but lining your house with lights. I thought that seems like a nice tradition.
But it stops you from seeing the sky. Like an astronomer or something like that. It would
I like holiday lights or Christmas lights because after January 1st, they're on sale, and I buy them up like.
That's spoken like.
I decorate my sukkah with them.
Sukkah.
Oh, Jacob.
Yeah. Yeah. This whole idea too, like say, like you got Mother's Day now, okay, like Mother's Day, say, and okay, no problem. I'll give a card or give flowers to my mother, and I don't know. But then I'll hear questions like, well, did you get your sister-in-law a card? Did you get your mother-in-law a card? Did you get your wife a card? Even though we don't have children, she is not the mother of any of my kids, but the mother of a child with previous marriage. So I'm like, but they're not my mother. It's Mother's Day.
They're mothers and they're related to you. You get
What
them
about
cards.
Valentine's Day?
Yeah, that's my sister's. Actually, I got her husband. It's Father's Day today, right?
It's Father's Day in Canada?
Wasn't it Father's Day today?
I don't think so.
Not here
in America. That's in June.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ron was saying it's
Today was
Father's Day in Australia.
Well, in a way, it was Father's Day because today was the kickoff of the football season.
When is Father's Day? Good thing I
Father's Day is in June, isn't it, in Canada?
September.
I think it's in June for us.
It's June for us in America.
Oh, so in Australia it's in September. Huh. I don't know. It was Father's Day for Rob yesterday. So, and he's, a day ahead of us. So that's why I thought Father's Day.
Right, they're on the flip side of the globe over there. Yeah.
I know a tradition.
Yes.
My family's done a lot. On August 16th, or that week of August 16th, we used to go up to Memphis quite a bit and party for a few days, Elvis style.
It's
Up on Beale Street and
the anniversary of his death, right?
Yeah, it's Elvis Week. They call it Elvis Week, and they'll have a vigil and all that, but it borders on spooky with some folks. Sometimes it's a shrine, and then sometimes I think it goes a little too far. So I've never actually done the vigil, but I've been out there in the crowd when they say light up the candles and everybody lights up and they take pictures from helicopters and stuff, and jam Elvis and drink and jam some more Elvis and go to this event and drink and go jam some more Elvis and drink. It's just a blast, man.
I go portaging in August, like for 4 days.
You go where?
Portaging. It's like when you it's like going camping, but you with a canoe. Like you canoe out somewhere and you camp.
Oh, that's awesome.
Maybe it's like a Canadian thing. I don't know, like an Ontario thing. But
Like where? I mean, sorry, when you go?
usually the first or second week of August. It depends on my dating. I didn't go this year though, but
So
I'll
that's
go
like
for
the
4 days.
holiday time.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of everybody goes on holiday around that time. Seems don't know why, but
You broke
it's
tradition.
National Holiday Day week. First couple weeks of August.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds awesome.
Yeah, those weeks are pretty popular in America as well. Vacation weeks,
I
right
mean, you
before.
should go in the winter time to a tropical area if you're going to a tropical area. But in August, it's just, well, it's nice in August wherever you live, usually. Not too hot, not too cold. Why didn't it go in August? I don't know.
So, Pat, you broke tradition this year, huh?
It's tradition. I hate that word, tradition.
Tradition.
Tradition. Traditions need to be questioned.
I want
you,
to.
you know what I'm not liking, and what I'm not liking, we have of course 9/11 coming up here in a few days, and they're calling this day Patriot Day.
Oh man, that's intense.
Yeah, they call this Patriot Day for the past number of years now, and I'm
I'm surprised you guys didn't call it like Martyrs Memorial Day or something. You guys idolize that stuff pretty hard down there.
Yeah,
They call it, I don't know, Terrorist Day or something.
I think a lot of it's
That
been.
probably wouldn't go over so well.
Patriot sounds better.
It's a
So it's
I think it really is a psychological game. I mean, right after 9/11 did happen, you had the Homeland Security instituted, you had the Patriot Act instituted. So it was almost like if you didn't kind of the underlining thing I'm getting, if you didn't kind of promote these kind of new policies, because hey, we're fighting, we got the fear of terrorism over us, you're not a real patriot. So
Not
that's
terrorism, terror. Very
terror.
particular, very different. Yeah.
Terror Day.
So that's what I'm at odds with calling it.
Would you agree that it was like this generation's commie scare
Yeah.
in a way? Yeah,
hmm
it's a commie.
But that's
For
that's a
America.
whole nother subject. Maybe we'll do a night owl on 9/11. I don't know, but yeah, but this new tradition now that's started, call it that Patriot Day. Which brings me to another question, Idle. Like you were talking about baseball games, and we were talking about how these national traditions of, saying the Pledge of Allegiance and singing God Bless America and stuff, especially when you're doing them at baseball games. Do you? And I know that you're at odds a little bit with the idol, should I say, of nationalism. Do you find it when you go to a game that you can't take your hat off, or you find you're kind of, apprehensive about doing that at a game?
Not
Be-
not
Being,
not really. I grew up in Texas, and when you sing the pledge, I mean, yeah, everyone said the pledge in school, and it was just blantered out. Nobody thought of the words, and when you're in middle school, you stop doing it. But for like baseball games, which and thinking back now, yeah, the Pledge of Allegiance is stupid because I'm not going to allege myself to a symbol, no matter what it stands for. I don't allege myself to Lady of Liberty enlightening the world out there in New York. I don't allege myself to.
Sorry. I was just. Can somebody tell me the difference between the two things you said? You said the Pledge of Allegiance and what was the other one?
Anthem.
The Pledge of Allegiance isn't the national anthem. What's the Pledge of Allegiance?
It goes like this: I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's interesting.
there's a line, I think, some with the Republic.
Republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And they used to say it like this.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
don't need to lie yourself with the states, then, basically.
No, I didn't say it like that. We used to put our hand over our heart.
That was after World War II, but originally the salute.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
We
that's
we
serious,
used
man.
we used to have well, we have the national anthem here, but we used to like when like in my mother's days, they used to have God Save the Queen as well, but that was booted not too long ago. So I guess it'd be the same thing.
Well, the national anthem is different than the Pledge of Allegiance.
No, I'm saying like we have a national anthem. We also had God Save the Queen, which where you would pledge
Oh,
allegiance to the Queen, like you would pledge allegiance to the flag.
okay.
As far as I knew, we didn't have a Pledge of Allegiance. Thanks for putting one there.
Yep.
How long was that? When was that abolished?
I think like 30 years ago.
Oh, okay, so
Not too
like
long,
almost
like the 70s or
born?
80s. I think they stopped doing the God Save the Queen.
Yeah, no wonder I thought we don't have a Pledge of Allegiance. We just have a.
I'll go check 1 second.
Okay, I'm gonna take off for a second here. Let me answer the second part of get my second part out real quick. National anthem we came from, it was a sing along. Everybody sang it loud and proud.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't take your hat off unless you wanted to. Not everybody did, but you sang. And some took their hat off, and that was fine. But you sang it out loud. Now, when I've come out of the states, or out of Texas and into the United States, everybody, it's almost mourned. Nobody really sings it loud and proud. They just kind of maybe hum it, and they stand real quiet with their hand on their heart, and it's a little more of a solemn. Where in Texas, if you look at the World Series when it came to Arlington Stadium a few years back, that'll give you, and look at all the other times the national anthem's sung. You'll understand how when growing up we treated it different than I think they treat it in the rest of the states. So it's more of a sing-along, and hell yeah, I'll stand up and sing the national anthem, sure. It was about a victory for our side, great. It was about war, great. So what? Rockets, red glare, so what? It's a great song.
Yeah.
And it does unite us under a common thing so that we can play the game in good cheer.
Yeah, it gets a war spirit into you.
Well,
Sorry.
Like beating a bunch of drums, and
we couldn't be as cool as Canada on that end.
oh yeah, well, what do we do?
Is God mentioned in the American national anthem?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It is?
What's the line? Is God mentioned in
By dawn's early night, was so proudly we held the twilight's gleaming through dark and bright stars, through the perilous night, was so proudly we. No, it's not in there at all.
No, it's not.
It's in ours. I think there's a debate trying to remove it.
Oh, good grief.
There's no God in your national anthem?
Nope. But there's moms.
But there's Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of
Right.
Allegiance.
And that has God in it.
I got to take off from
Yeah,
there.
we got God in ours.
Hi, James. Thanks for stopping by. When I'm back, we're gonna still, we'll be closing up here in a couple minutes, I guess. And then
Okay. You're closing up.
We'll be hanging off air. People
All
hanging
right.
on.
I'll just stick around if that's all right.
Yeah, sure. Ryan, welcome back. Any final thoughts as we just wrap this up? No. No? Well,
Couldn't stay away, but then got away. He's a bit sick today. He's been kind of running to the bathroom all day. Food poisoning, he says.
Something.
who's that? Who
I
has,
don't know. Running to the bathroom and hurling.
who has food poisoning?
Alcohol poisoning, maybe?
Who? Who does?
Ryan?
Yeah, I do not feel well today. I have had a
All right.
very upset stomach, but
And he's always got his camera on and stuff, too, so he's sick. Taking a break.
Well, I'm gonna wrap this up because it's almost 2 hours. I try, unless there's any more we're gonna talk about. Usually try to wrap it up around this time. So I thought, it was a pretty good conversation. Talk about traditions. So I guess we could agree. Some things are good, some things are bad. Sometimes traditions can be great for getting family together, and having an excuse to get the family together, and have, share special times and stuff. Despite some of the drama that also traditions can kind of cause as well. So good convo. Thanks. We're gonna, we'll stay on. We'll stay, all fair. But to everyone else out there listening, thanks for dropping by. If you want to come on in, there should be a link in the description on the event page or in the community page. Speaking of, don't forget to join the God Talk community. And another quick announcement for tomorrow night's Night Owl. We're going to be doing our second part of um, if you were king or queen and had control of the government. So we're going into part 2 of that, and we're going to be discussing how would you run your criminal justice system. So we'll be doing that tomorrow if you want to join us. So everyone else, thanks for joining us, and have a great night. Namaste.